What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist here with the one, the only, the spine-tingling, the mouth-numbing
Gershwan.
And today we're back to answer more questions in another For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put a question in front of your question because we get those questions first. And that is what, or well, before we start, we have a thing called Super Thanks. If you guys want to support the channel, you can give us a Super Thanks. If you do, you can ask us anything on this video, and we will guarantee answer it in the next episode. Also, we have Patreon. If you guys want to support us on Patreon, you can jump over there. We also have an Audible link down in the description below. We have a lot of ways for you guys to support the channel, but let's get to the Super Thanks.
Yeah, the Super Thanks is by Carrie Vogt. He asks, so it's widely considered that Horus's win would weaken Chaos with the decimation of humanity. Did Chaos force a confrontation between their father and sons, resulting in the Big E's ascension, a gambit by Chaos, resulting in the birth of a new god that would only strengthen humanity, and thus Chaos itself?
Well, probably not, just because Chaos is selfish. Chaos would not want another Chaos god. The birth of Slaanesh brought a conflict between Slaanesh and Khorne.
Yeah.
So no, the 4 Chaos gods would not want a 5th Chaos god.
Yeah, Chaos is a wheel, and it's always turning, where at one time Khorne may be on top, at the other time maybe it's Tzeentch. This wheel just keeps on turning and turning and turning, power ever shifting. And with the Emperor becoming a 5th Chaos god, if that was their intent, why would they want to add more slices to the wheel that would only give them less time to shine? So yeah, I don't think that was something that Chaos did, at least intentionally, but it does make sense that through the Emperor becoming a Chaos god and empowering humanity, that would essentially also empower Chaos through more humans being alive and their belief and all that. But I feel like if the Chaos wanted beliefs from humans, why create the Emperor, which would be taking beliefs away from them?
Right, yeah. Because now it's the worship of the Chaos god. So, like, put yourself in the shoes of an Imperial citizen. You have no choice but to worship the Emperor, pushing you away from the Chaos gods, is what you're saying, right?
Right, yeah. So, I mean, Chaos does work in weird ways, but I don't think that was their intention. Mm-hmm. But it's a good thesis you got going there, Mr. Vogt.
Very good, yeah.
Yeah. And now on to the other questions. This one is by Sean. How does a Space Marine feel about killing one of their own chapter or brothers from another chapter if one were to turn Chaos?
It's not something that they want to do, but it's something that has happened multiple times throughout the history of, 40K.
Yeah, clearly you've seen it in the Horus Heresy books. Because even though Space Marines are like stoic and they don't really show emotions and stuff like that, they do have a band of brothers type of atmosphere. So it's like you're fighting, all these intergalactic threats. You do have some type of camaraderie with the guy that you're fighting shoulder to shoulder. So yeah, they do kind of feel bad about it, but at the end of the day, it's what they're meant to do: fight, kill.
We'll fight for the Emperor specifically.
True,
like they are angels of death, meant to keep the Imperium not even meant to keep the Imperium, but just the Emperor's word. And the Emperor's word is to be, if you're a Space Marine and you're not protecting the Emperor, then you got to get.
Yeah, you got to get. Not get got.
Next question.
Benjamin Hansen. Would you guys ever think about kidnap for 2 lowriders? Would we kidnap people for lowriders?
Probably not.
No. I'm not into the whole lowrider thing. I feel the whole bounciness just kind of messes up the suspension of the vehicle itself.
Right.
So no.
And it's too flashy. Like, we're not flashy people. Look at us.
Very mute colors.
Very mute. I would also say that if I were, what would I do or what would I consider in order to commit kidnapping?
Yeah.
I think an army from each faction.
Yeah, I can see that.
It has to be 1,500 points, though. No. 2,000 points.
Mm-hmm.
That because we always play 15 or 20.
Usually it was like 1,250, yeah.
Yeah, usually. We haven't played in 2 years.
That is true. How do you play again?
That's the honest truth. And that's a question to you guys. How many of you guys are still up to date with the lore, playing it, or up to date with the rules and playing it? And if so, what YouTube channel do you guys watch?
Yeah.
Next question comes from Brian B. What is better, cold pizza or hot pizza?
We've answered this before, and for me, it's always best if it's cold, but if it's thin crust.
Yeah, otherwise it's just a bunch of cheese. You're biting into just cheese.
Yeah, biting into cold cheese is not the best. So yeah, I mean, it depends. Taste buds change over time. We are getting older and we're getting weaker.
We are. Next question comes from the big one. How can I let members of my church choir know that when it comes to the art of making sweet, sweet love, the big one is the best?
I think you got to harmonize a little bit louder, because when you match people's vocal tones and then you overpower them, your vibrato stimulates their occipital lobes, and that's how they know.
Yeah, it sounds fancy and wordy.
Trust
so
me,
yeah.
I'm the sound alchemist.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Not the safe and sound alchemist. Did you hear that? Sound alchemist.
Spit some verse.
Nah,
Okay.
That's only for Jesus.
You don't want to like do the noise marine thing where like you like enchant people.
I'm
through the
surprised
videos.
you know about that. I've never told anybody about that.
Yeah, you've enchanted me a couple times.
Ooh.
Next question comes from Le Mac Cheese or the Cheese Mac. How does a space marine feel about? Oh no, we already read that. Ross Osbury, have we read that one?
It doesn't sound familiar.
Just a theory. I think that the Emperor not talking about chaos is kind of like the parents in the Freddy horror movie not talking about Freddy. The more people know about Freddy, the more power he has. Same with chaos. What do you think?
Okay, so that's a very interesting concept.
And it's something that we talk about in the first question.
So the reason why he didn't mention chaos is because he didn't want them to know there was another option. Like if the Emperor presented you with hamburgers or pizza, you're probably going to choose hamburger or pizzas, unbeknownst to you that there's a whole rotisserie chicken in the back.
Right.
Yeah, so if you don't know about the rotisserie chicken, you're probably not going to pick it. Unfortunately, that was not the case here, where the Primarchs could still smell the rotisserie chicken, so they kind of knew there was something going on behind the scenes.
Right.
Horus, Lorgar, Fulgrim, Angron, they all actually dipped their fingers in the rotisserie chicken beforehand, so they knew about all of it.
Because the rotisserie chicken was in the basically lungs of the premature babies of the Primarchs. So, because when they were scattered by chaos.
Right. Rotisserie chicken kicked them out.
So they had a taste for rotisserie chicken from the beginning.
That's true, yeah. Don't we all, right?
Even though, like, so in the option of, you said rotisserie chicken, cheeseburgers, and what?
Pizza.
I would do cheeseburger.
Really? I wonder what that means in 40K terms.
Cheeseburger would be Grotz burgers. Next question.
Ghastly Grinner says, do psychers need bodies to function in 40K? Or could the AdMech theoretically just put a psyker brain in a jar or robot and still have it function?
That's a good question. Like, where does the core of the psychic energy reside? And I think, based on my understanding of Zen Shiatsu, I think that it's the entire like nervous system.
Right.
I think like it's more of the different channels. So I guess it's like the nervous system, but not really the nervous system because it depends on what. I think it's the entire body minus the skin, muscle. No, would it be muscles? I don't know.
Does the soul have any part to play in that?
Well, the soul in 40K is, yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
So would the soul still reside within the brain?
I don't know.
Because when you think about it, Belisarius' Call is pretty much just that, a brain in a jar. Everything else is all just like mechadendrites and machinery.
Oh, that's true. So maybe that does reside on, maybe it's just the essence of the person though. Because like you could sustain a heart and that has a soul, right?
Maybe.
So maybe it's not just like a brain, a heart, or a lung. It's just a body part.
It could be it. That makes the most sense, at least in my mind, which is where my soul resides.
His mind.
Because we are of one mind, we are a syndicate.
There you go. Next question.
This one is by the Ninja Squirrel. Time travel in 40K is possible, but can they travel back in time and actually have it mean something? So, for example, if they change something, would it mean that in the new timeline, it wouldn't change a thing here, except in that timeline where they will never be able to actually know what they changed and how it influenced it?
So I think what it is like there's one linear timeline and you can't really affect it, just like Harry Potter. If you look at the Harry Potter like time travel aspect of it, like it's one loop, like an infinite loop. And like if Lorgar were to go back in time to influence the Emperor to turn to chaos, in reality, that influence would just push him to do what he was doing with the Imperial Truth.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And
no matter what you think you're going to change, it's going to end up being fate.
Right, yeah. And fate is controlled by the warp kind of thing, maybe. Because there hasn't been anything that shows that that's not true.
Right. Every time we've seen like the Necrons, when their chronomancers change things, like nothing really matters.
Yeah.
We've had Space Marines, whole chapters go back in time and forward in time, and like the timeline doesn't seem to like differentiate.
Right.
Yeah. We'll see exactly how that plays out, because there are two, well, The End and the Death is supposed to be the last book, which is being split into different volumes, and that's supposed to have some like time travel anomaly stuff playing. So I think we'll get more answers when those books come out.
Yeah. And those are the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll talk tomorrow.
Yeah, keep those questions coming, and so will we. And of course, super thanks are greatly appreciated, so keep them coming.
This is Gersh1.
Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and we are out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.